Hi all, welcome back to my channel. So in the last session we discussed about like what is Playwright and about its features. So as I said earlier, in the market there are a lot of automation tools which are trending and growing a lot. So now everyone might be in some confusion like which tool we should learn. So today we are going to take Playwright as our new trending automation tool and we are going to compare with Selenium in detail. So the first topic we are going to discuss about the differences between the Selenium and Playwright is speed. The speed we can differentiate in three ways. One about the communication model using by these automation tools. The other one is like with asynchronous execution, and the last one will define with modern design. So coming to communication model, right? So Selenium uses this WebDriver protocol, which is HTTP based, as a communication model. So as it is in the communication model as a WebDriver protocol, right? It is very slow for the network latency between test and the browser. So coming to Playwright, right? So Playwright uses the communication model as, it uses the direct browser control via WebSocket as a communication tool. So as it is using the direct browser control, so it is very faster, lower latency, and also it uses the direct API communication. So what that exactly means is like Selenium communicates with the browser through the WebDriver API, which involves sending JSON commands over HTTP. Whereas Playwright, on the other hand, Playwright directly talks through the browser's DevTools protocol via WebSockets. So it is much faster and asynchronous. So what is asynchronous is like, for example, now Selenium, right? Selenium is traditionally it's a kind of synchronous. It means like waits for each command to finish before sending the next. Okay. So whereas Playwright is fully asynchronous by design itself, it can execute multiple operations in parallel. Example, multiple browser contexts or tabs. So the last difference is with the design. Like the modern design of the Playwright. So Playwright was built later from the scratch, learning from Selenium's limitations, like native support for multiple browsers, Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, and its faster element handling and event-driven model, better test isolation, and headless performances. So next difference we are going to discuss about the parallel execution. So Playwright supports a native parallel execution. It means like it supports multiple browser contexts or pages in one browser instance. So each page acts like an isolated browser profile, including cookies, storage, etc. But shares the same browser process. Like see, these contexts, these pages are lightweight because, for example, creating 10 contexts but launching 10 incognito tabs. So for that reason these contexts are very lightweight. And one more thing is like Playwright has built-in test runner. So we are going to discuss about the test runner in future while starting automating our test cases. So because of the built-in test runner, right, Playwright supports parallel workers here. So we'll come over the workers. Okay, all the tests run in worker process. So this process, worker process, are nothing but voice process running independently or and orchestrated, arranged by the test within one test via multiple contexts or pages. So because of this reason, this results a minimum resources overhead and also high true parallel testing. Okay, so coming to Selenium, right? Each parallel test typically needs like a separate browser instance, a separate WebDriver session, and also Selenium uses external test runners like TestNG, PyTest, JUnit for parallel execution, whereas Playwright has an inbuilt what do you call the test runner inbuilt. It has an inbuilt test runner, whereas Selenium depends on the external test runners like TestNG, PyTest, JUnit, etc. And also to, so for example, now you can have a doubt like why can't Selenium, even Selenium supports a parallel execution, right? Exactly, but the thing is like to achieve the parallel execution by Selenium, we can use Selenium grid, but you need to take, you need to make changes in the code as well. Okay, and also it needs requires infrastructure setup. and also it doesn't scale as efficiently as Playwright's lightweight context. So this results like slower startup times and higher system load as well. And also the Selenium is heavy on resources, like it's starting multiple Chrome instances. It consumes a lot of CPU and RAM. Now we will move on to the third difference, that is called auto weight. Okay. So in the last session we already discussed like what is auto weight. So now I'll just give in a brief actually what it means for the Playwright. Auto weight means like the Playwright automatically waits for the necessary conditions before performing any action or assertion. You don't need to write manual weights like sleep or WebDriver weight and Selenium. So in short, I can say like Playwright waits intelligently, okay, until the element is ready, or visible or stable and attached to the DOM before performing actions. So why auto-wait is needed compared to Selenium? Okay. So in the modern web apps, like for example React, Angular, etc., the DOM changes constantly. Okay, elements load dynamically, buttons get enabled after validations, animations or network requests delay rendering. So for all these situations, I mean like all these situations, AutoWait automatically waits and I mean like it performs the actions accordingly. And the older tools like Selenium requires manual wait. Now coming to Selenium. So Selenium by default uses a manual waiting model. Okay. So by default, like Selenium doesn't wait for the elements automatically. You must explicitly add like explicit waits, example WebDriver wait plus some expected conditions. Okay, so for the bottom line, what I can say is like Playwright's auto waiting is one of its superpowers. It makes tests both faster and far less flaky than Selenium's manual waiting model. So Playwright's auto wait is equal to smart built-in waiting that makes your test reliable without writing extra wait code. So on the next difference, we are going to discuss about the native Playwright test feature which Playwright has. This completely which is not available in Selenium. Okay, so Playwright ships with a powerful integrated test runner called Playwright slash test. So like I'll just go in a high level with the features of this native Playwright test feature, because we are going to discuss more when we start automating the test. Okay, so the first one is like we already discussed this native parallel execution. So next is auto wait built-in, just now we discussed, and also retries timeouts fixtures, and also it provides rich HTML reports and trace viewer, cross-browser testing like for Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, that is Safari, and built-in assertions, and also provides automated screenshots, videos, and trace captures. So coming to Selenium writes, for Selenium there is no native test runner. Selenium is a browser automation library, not a full test framework. You must pair it with some external test runners, such as like for example, if you are working with Selenium Java, you have to use a framework called JUnit.testng, and if you are working with Python, you need PyTest or unit test something, and for example C sharp and unit something like, and if you are working with JavaScript, you have to use a framework called Mocha, Jest, etc. The next important difference for the Playwright and Selenium way we found for the Playwright is configuration. Okay, so the Playwright configuration file is a single, okay, and it is centralized declarative way to control your entire testing setup. For example, including browsers, environments, reports, and parallelism without needing extra tools or plugins, unlike Selenium TestNG setup. Okay, in a single file. Okay, so now the key configuration options we find in that configuration files are like test directory. Okay, the folder where tests are located, we can save it dot slash test. Okay, and timeout, max time for each. Okay, and retries for the failed tests. Workers, the number of parallel test workers. Fully parallel options to run all the tests in parallel, that you can true or false, you can give their options. Okay, coming to reporter, it controls the report, different types of reports like HTML, list or JSON, etc. Okay, and now one of the option called use, default options for all tests like browser screenshots, etc. There is an option called projects. It defines the multiple browsers or devices configuration. Example: Chrome, Firefox, even gives an iPhone, etc. And global setup or global teardown that we will discuss later. And one of the option called expected is the configure test assertions. Okay, timeout. So regarding this file, right, configuration file, we are going to discuss more once we install the Playwright in our local machine, so that once the library is downloaded, right, so once we get this package, I will show all the options, key configuration options, which we discuss now in detail. So the next important difference between Selenium and Playwright, we are going to discuss about the reports. Okay. Our reports are like by default internally integrated with the Playwright. So when you run the test with the Playwright test runner, reporting is fully integrated. So how it works is like, so after every run, right, Playwright automatically generates these HTML reports, screenshots on failures. Videos are like optional, depends on how you set this. There's also traces. Also traces are nothing but like a full replay of each test. Coming to Selenium, right? Selenium does not have built-in reporting because it's only a browser automation library. You must integrate with a testing framework and then attach a reporting library. So common combinations I can say is like, see for example, while you're using Selenium Java, right? You have to use TestNG for Selenium for the external for reportings. Okay, as extend tools, so Allure reporting. We have to use all this external stuff for Selenium to generate the reports. Whereas in Playwright, automatically once you run your test with the Playwright, right? So the test runner will take care of everything and it reports the reports automatically without any external thing. So yeah, I mean like so Playwright has their own internal reports, and it also supports some third-party reporters as well, like Allure, Monaco, Tezels, etc. So I mean like we are going to discuss more. I'm like as I said, like while we start running our automation test scripts. So apart from the discussed differences, like we have few more other differences between Selenium and Playwright. We can say like once first one is like it supports like UI end-to-end testing. So Playwright is a next generation end-to-end testing framework because of its fast, stable, and designed for modern web apps with built-in reporting, debugging, and parallelism. Whereas Selenium is still a powerful and widely supported, but it's slower, more complex to configure, and less optimized for modern dynamic UIs. Next is Playwright supports API testing. Playwright includes a built-in API testing client. No need of extra tools like Postman or Rest Assured. It's a part of the Playwright slash test package, and also can send HTTP REST request, validate responses, share authentication, cookies, tokens with browser context, and it combines API setup plus UI verification in one test. So coming to Selenium, right? Selenium supports API testing, but Selenium cannot perform HTTP requests directly. It only automates browser actions. Like it doesn't have an API client or network layer. To test APIs with Selenium, you must use external tools or libraries. Okay. For example, when you use Selenium with Java, you have to use REST assured. When by Python, some requests. Then C sharp, you have to use the REST sharp. Coming to JavaScript, you have to use like Axios or Fetch, Supertest, etc. So as I said, like Playwright does not require any extra tools like Postman or REST assured to test APIs using Playwright. So the next is like Playwright supports component testing. What is component testing? Is not component testing means like it's testing a single front end components like React button or form in real browser conditions. But without launching your entire app or backend, it helps to verify like UI rendering, component logic, styling and accessibility, events handling, etc. So Playwright can mount front end component directly in a browser and interacts with them. No need of running server or like full web app, etc. Or the supported frameworks are like React, Angular, etc. Coming to Selenium, right? There are no native component testing. Selenium is purely for browser automation of entire pages. It cannot mount or render front-end components in isolation. You can also test after deploying or serving your full app. To simulate component level tests in Selenium, you need the app running in the dev server. the component exposed somewhere in the UI. So manual selectors for the component. As Playwright can mount with the front end component directly in a browser and interact with them, so there is no need of any app or running server or full web app. And next, one of the support provided by the Playwright is accessibility testing. So what is accessibility testing? Is like accessibility testing ensures that your web application is usable by people with disabilities, including users who depend on screen readers, keyboard navigations, or assistive technologies. So in one line, what I can say is like accessibility testing in Playwright helps you automatically detect and fix usability issues for the users with disabilities using built-in accessibility APIs and Axco audits. We'll discuss more in future about these. So far we covered like most of the differences between Selenium and Playwright. So as per me, in one line, I mean like I can say like which will be the future is like from my opinion, like if you have a lot of experience like more than like 8 plus or 10 plus or more than that experience, so Playwright is the future. Yeah, for its modern, fast, and all-in-one testing platform. As Selenium will remain for legacy and cross-language ecosystems. Yep, and that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. And in the next session, we are going to discuss about the installation of the Playwright and stuff. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, M&M Takes. Bye.